Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Players Only YouTube channel, and it's Champions League time once more. We're into the final knockout stages. Round 16 first leg games kick off tonight, and we have got some massive clashes from all over, all 8 games here. Obviously, the biggest one being the Madrid derby. We've got Bayern versus Bayer Leverkusen as well, and can Benfica get some revenge over Barcelona after that crazy 5-4 game in the league phase as well. So a lot to be excited about and a lot of massive games coming from the round of 16 that I'm going to put to you in this video here. With that being said, guys, let's not delay. Let's get straight now into our Champions League predictions. Our first game sees Club Brugge take on Aston Villa. Club Brugge obviously being, I guess, the giant killers in many regards, knocking out Atalanta in the playing games. They have won 3 of their last 5 Champions League games, so in great form in this competition. However, have not won their last 3 league games. So contrasting form between Champions League and league form, it would be a common trend to continue for the other teams as well. So, not many teams coming into this first, they get much confidence in their league form, but they'll back themselves in to adjust and to adapt to the situation. And we know Club Brugge has been a great home team this season. They've been great in all competitions, probably into that Man City game where they lost that game there to allow Man City into the play-in game. Outside of that, they've been in some fantastic form, in domestic form and Champions League form as well, and they rise to the big occasions and play teams at such a high level, whether it be the way they lock off defensively, how good they are in possession, and for me, the transition games when Club Brugge are at their best. I look at this team here, and for me, Vanaken, I've often mentioned the man's name, the captain, the number 10, so important to this team in transitional play, being that leader and being that cool, calm head in possession that can keep the ball and play the right pass, pick the right ball, and get the side moving onto the front foot. So look to him to be central to all things that Club Brugge do going forward. And obviously, Mignolet in goal. Well, we know him back from the Liverpool days, but was massive in that second leg of the playing game versus Atalanta. 9 saves in that game. He'll have to do something quite similar, I think, yet again, because Aston Villa will try and commit numbers forward, will play with pace and precision in the final third. It's another big game required for Mignolet, for Club Brugge to keep that clean sheet and hopefully then build on to find a victory in this game here. Looking at Villa, they've also had a mixed bag themselves. 2 wins, 2 draws, and a loss in their last 5 games. They've been inconsistent all season. It looked like they turned a corner and then lost a game versus Crystal Palace only 2 games ago. So they'll want to get back to winning ways here. For me, the difference makers, I've said it a lot since they've joined their club, Marcus Rashford, Marco Asensio, they have been single-handedly the attacking threat for this side in the last few games. In their last 2 starts, to combine for 4 goals. So important to the team moving forward. Rashford with his link-up play and assist, Asensio finding the back of the net. He's used to these big games. He's used to these massive occasions in the Champions League. I think he'll be the leader of this side here in terms of in the final third. We know how good Aston Villa can be defensively. Tyrone Mings and Konsa again have massive games here to shut down Club Brugge in that defensive aspect, especially Club Brugge in transition. But I think it's so important for Aston Villa to go and score some goals, get in the front foot, play that free-flowing attacking football, and then it'll come off the back of Marcus Rashford from the left and Marco Asensio down the middle. So look to those two to be the key players to break down this Club Brugge side. With that being said, this game I think is going to be very, very tight. I think it's going to be a game of moments, who can score from their few chances, who can be more clinical. I think Aston Villa just edged that for me off the back of the likes of Marco Asensio. I've got an Aston Villa tight 2-1 win here away from home, taking that advantage into the second leg. Our next game takes us to Germany as Borussia Dortmund hosts Lille in our next game. The German side have been so inconsistent throughout the season, but have found some form in recent times. 3 wins, 1 draw and 1 loss in their last 5 games. 4 clean sheets in that time, and that for me is the big ticking point. For them defensively, they've been all over the place this season, got out in transition, poor playing out from the back. But what we've seen in the last few games is more confidence in the ball and better without the ball. Not conceding as many opportunities, not conceding as many big chances. And you think to Borussia Dortmund this time last season, also struggling in the league, obviously not as bad as they are this season, but it was off the back of, I guess, heroic, historic type defensive performances from Mats Hummels, Nico Schlotterbeck, and also Kobel and goal. I think yet again they've found this form at the right time. And for me, the turnaround has coincided with this front three being reintroduced, which is Maximilian Bayer, Karim Adeyemi, and Sekou Guirassy up top. All different players in their own regard. Adeyemi, the pacey, direct type player. Maximilian Bayer, the skillful flair player that can make chances out of nothing. And then Sekou Guirassy, the ultimate clinical finish in the box, a deadly threat in the box. They've got so many tools and weapons in that final third. It makes it very, very hard for teams to contain. And then also, what we've seen, obviously, this season is that great home form. Struggled in the league, struggled in cup competitions, was decent in the Champions League, but they've only lost at home so far this season 3 times in all competitions. That goes to show the quality of the side at home. That goes to show, I guess, the extra 12th man that is the yellow wall and how they turn up these big games at the Signal Iduna Park. So once again, they come into this game as the favourites in this great form, being at home as well. And then I think massive roles for Marcel Sabitzer and Pascal Gross will promise so much for these two midfielders. I expect them to be those ball control experts, smart in possession, don't give away possession easily, control the pace of the game, win those 50-50 battles. We didn't see that at the start of the season. We're seeing that in the last few games. Look to those two to win that midfield battle and keep Borussia Dortmund on the front foot. Looking at Lille, again, another team that struggled domestically and has struggled in recent games. 2 wins, a draw, and 2 losses in their last 5 games. Only scoring 7 goals as well in that time as well. So far from, I guess, convincing, far from entertaining. Obviously, they come off the back of that 6-1 win versus Feyenoord in their last Champions League game. That's the heights we know that this side can get to, but we haven't seen that type of performance since that last Champions League game they played. So I look to this side, I think it has to be a more defensive display, especially to shut down Adeyemi and Sekou Guirassy in the final third. So Diakate, Ribeiro at the back have to be solid, have to be tight. I think Lille come into this game here hoping to try and keep a clean sheet and take it to the second leg. As long as you're in the game, within a goal or 2 in this first leg here, you can cause some problems away at their home ground in the next leg, because we know how poor Borussia Dortmund are away from home. So for them, it's about keeping it compact, keeping it tight, and not allowing Dortmund to run away with this game here. How do I see the game going? I do see Dortmund actually getting a big result here. They come in with great form. They've played fantastic at home in recent times, and they love a Champions League night. As such, I'm seeing a Borussia Dortmund 3-0 win. I think Sekou Guirassy, the man for the moment yet again, wouldn't be surprised if he gets a hat-trick in this game here. Our next game takes us to the Netherlands as PSV hosts Arsenal in what is going to be a very, very entertaining fixture, an underrated fixture in many regards. We look at PSV, they do come off 2 consecutive losses in domestic football, no win in their previous 4 domestic games, but we know how much of a problem they've been in the Champions League so far this season, causing an upset in the play-in game, and now coming to this confidence, with confidence flying into the round of 16 clash versus a bigger side in Arsenal. For me, you're going to need to sit in deep. You're going to need to absorb some pressure. You're going to need Arsenal to really sort of attack and come onto you to allow chances for the counter-attacking game that can expose Arsenal's defence. So Flamingo, Boscali at the centre-half positions, keep it compact, sit in that deep, low line, low block, prevent easy opportunities for midfielders to run on, prevent spaces in and around the box, force Arsenal to cross the ball. They're not very good for those situations. Arsenal have lost a lot of games of football when they've crossed multiple times. I think that's the key for their side. So it's so important, those 2 centre-halves. Keep it compact, sit that low block very deep, and then allow Arsenal to come onto this side here. And then it allows that transition counter-attacking game that Arsenal have been called out with so many different times across the last 2.5 years. And that's when the players like Ivan Perisic, as well as Noah Lang, who are those creative spark, X-Factor type players, can get involved in this game here. We know how dangerous these 2 wide players have been in the Champions League so far this season. They've had massive moments in their own regards. Look to those 2 to be huge this side again in this game here in transition. West Ham not too long ago in the Premier League did it to Arsenal using the wide spaces. I think PSV can utilise a very similar game plan to try and beat Arsenal in this game here. Looking at Arsenal, up and down themselves. 2 wins, 2 losses and a draw in their last 5 games. Have failed to score in 3 of their last 4 games in all competitions. It's been a real struggle up top. No striker, lacking quality in the wide spaces, and as such, it's all sort of fallen apart in the final third. That's why it's so important that PSV play that low block and play that more pragmatic style of football for me. Yeah, looking at Arsenal, Ødegaard and Rice, I've said it so many different times this season. I've probably been hypercritical on them, but they have to stand up in a game like this. Champions League, missing your key players at Bukayo Saka, no striker in Kai Havertz or Gabriel Jesus. The defence looking a little bit shaky in transition. Those two have to control the centre of the park, win those 50-50s if you're Declan Rice, drive the ball forward if you're Martin Odegaard, create goals for yourself if you're Martin Odegaard, late runs and long shots from Declan Rice. Those two are the big players. They're the experienced players. They're the leaders of this side. They got to stand up in a game like this. Away from home, a tough fixture, inconsistent results in recent games. This is the time you have to stand up and be a true leader and lead from the front. So look to those two to be the key players for Arsenal. Obviously, the X factor in the likes of Ethan Nwaneri in the wide spaces provides some hope in the final third, but without a centre forward, it's going to be very, very hard for Arsenal in this game here, particularly away from home in the Netherlands. As such, I see PSV winning. 2-1 for me. They turn around some poor domestic form with a big result here in the Champions League, and it means it's a massive second leg at the Emirates to come. We now come to the highlight of the round of 16, the big one. Real Madrid take on Atletico Madrid at the Bernabeu. What a game this one is going to be. Pure cinema between these two sides here. This season and going into last season, there have been 3 draws between the two sides. So not much to separate these two sides. It's always a heated battle. Players always turn up for the situation. You've got Simeone's pragmatic defensive system versus Ancelotti's Galacticos, who have struggled in recent games. It's a massive clash here. And looking at Real Madrid, they've sort of gone in a funny vein of form in recent times. Only 1 win in their last 5 games in the league. However, their cup form has been fantastic. They've had a great run without many hiccups in cups for a long period of time now, dating back obviously to that Super Cup loss to Barcelona in Saudi there. So massive, great run of form in cup competition. That gives them a positive coming to this game here. But only 1 win in their last 5 La Liga games shows the frailties of the side. No Jude Bellingham this game here. We obviously know how Vinny struggled in recent games as well. And you're missing veteran leadership in the likes of Dani Carvajal. And obviously this season, no Toni Kroos in the centre of the park. So who's going to stand up? I think it has to be Luka Modric, who has done a great job in recent games filling in for Jude Bellingham missing an injury to the likes of Aurelien Tchouameni and Camavinga. I think he is going to be the guy in the centre of the park to be that veteran leader, to control the midfield battle, to potentially win the midfield battle versus a very aggressive, front-footed, robust Atletico midfield. If he can pull the strings for Real in that centre of the park, it goes a long way for them winning this game of football. And then up top, Vinicius Junior, Mr. Champions League. I still think today, at all the players in the world right now, he is the best Champions League performer. Look to him to stand up here. A tough month, out of form, missing opportunities, looking not like himself in the final third. I think he has a massive game this one here. He always loves Champions League nights, and it was this time last season where he went on an absolute tear in the Champions League. So look to him to have his fingerprints all over this game here at the Bernabeu. Looking at Atletico Madrid, a 10-game unbeaten run, however 3 draws in their last 5 games. So we know what they're all about. Defensive identity, sitting and absorbing pressure, nicking the odd goal on the break, clinical finishes up top, workman-like footballers all over the park. That is Atletico Madrid down to a T. That's Simeone football. And you see that in the side. And I think as such, I looked at that sort of midfield 4, the 4-4-2 they like to play. Simeone in the wide space with DePaul next to him. Those who in the centre of the park have so much importance to this side here. Their work rate with and without the football makes this system work. Simeone's running up and down the park, down that right-hand channel. DePaul flying the challenges, being that robust player, getting in and making it uncomfortable for the Real Madrid midfielders. Those two are going to be so important for this Atletico side. They bring so much energy and intensity to the side. They progress the ball forward for the side. And most importantly, they are into the challenges. They defend. They repel the attackers of Real Madrid. So look to those two to be so important for this side here. Only 4 losses so far this season for Simeone's side in all competitions. We know that they're going to be a very tough beat in this game here. And you think about this sort of round of 16 stage, a lot of times across the last 2 to 3 seasons in the Champions League, they often come as underdogs. They often come out winning the affair. So they're going to make it difficult. They don't like to lose to Real Madrid, their crosstown rivals. As I said, 3 draws in the last 3 games for these two sides. I think that continues here. I've got a 1-1 draw. I think Atletico score first. They sit in deep. I think Real nick a late goal, and we go to the second leg with all things square. So 1-1 draw here for me in this game here. We're back in the Netherlands as Feyenoord take on Inter Milan. Another massive game for this Dutch side here, coming in as underdogs versus one of the big boys in European football. Feyenoord coming to this game unbeaten in their last 6 games. They still have a massive, extensive injury list and a few massive suspensions coming to this game here. I look to this side, I look to Berlin, and then likely Trauner returning to the side at centre-half to need to keep it tight. Elite defensive quality is what's held this side afloat in recent times, with a lot of these injuries to key players and defenders as well. 6 games with no more than 1 goal conceded across the last few months or so. So that has been their calling card. That's what they've gone to. They're going to have to go to it again here to try and prevent this Inter Milan stuff and getting on top. We know Inter are a very talented side, but they struggle going forward in terms of consistent goals in their game. So if Feyenoord can keep it tight, keep it compact, especially those 2 centre-halves, it'll go a long way for them winning this game of football or potentially keeping this tie alive with a draw in this first leg. Looking forward in the attacking areas, Paxao and Musa are going to be accountable defensively. I know they're wingers and they're wide players, but they're going to have to drop back in defensively and cover off. You think of Denzel Dumfries, you think of Federico Di Marco, the most attacking wing backs in world football. You've got to have to cover off. You're going to do your work defensively, because if they get the outnumber in the wide spaces and the overloads, that's when Inter Milan look at their best. So those 2 wide players, Paxao as well as Musa, have to do a much better job covering off defensively and be that defensive coverage for the back 4 that Feyenoord have. Look at it, Inter unbeaten in their last 3 games, obviously known for their ultra defensive identity. They've struggled doing 6 goals scored in their previous 5 games. A lot of pressure on the front line to score and be clinical in this game here. And as such, Thuram and Lautaro Martinez are the key players this side here, especially Lautaro, a player that I often think is the litmus test for Inter Milan. When he scores goals, when he's in great form, Inter Milan are flying. When he's slightly off it, Inter struggle in the forward regions. They often scrape over the line for results. So look to him to be the leader of this side as the captain. And obviously, Thuram's been in fantastic form this season. Most goals and assists combined in the Serie A this season. So that's a dynamic player coming back from injury. Look to him to be that energiser in the final third to try and make things happen for Inter Milan. And then, as I said, Federico Di Marco and Denzel Dumfries have been in fantastic form. Haven't got the output in recent games. Look to those 2 to be all over this game here versus Feyenoord. With that being said, I think Inter Milan, the better side, coming with some confidence from some recent performances. I think they get a win here. It's going to be a tough one, but they eventually get over the line with a 2-0 result here in the Netherlands, taking that 2-goal lead to the San Siro for the second leg. We have an all-German encounter as Bayern Munich take on Bayer Leverkusen in this next game. 2 teams in fantastic form, 2 of the top teams in the Bundesliga, 2 of the better teams in the Champions League as well. It's going to be one of the most entertaining set of fixtures coming from the round of 16. You're looking at Bayern, they're unbeaten in their last 9 games, 10 goals scored in their last 5 games. All things are happening for this Bayern Munich side. They've been fantastic in league play, have barely slipped up all season, and when they have, Bayer Leverkusen have also slipped up. So they've kept a massive gap of 8 points in the Bundesliga. They did have some worries in that playing game versus Celtic, but they made it through in the end and got over the line. So you look to them in this game here. Going forward, they lacked a lot of confidence being on the front foot versus Leverkusen. So I'm looking to the holding midfielders, Leon Goretzka alongside Joshua Kimmich. Very experienced heads, capable in the football. Look to them try and control the pace of the game. We know Leverkusen like to play in transition. We know they like to play in wide spaces. But if Kimmich and Goretzka can control that central area, control possession for large periods of the game here at the Allianz Arena, it'll go a long way for Bayern being competitive in this game here. I think Leverkusen have the number of Bayern Munich. But if that central area can be compacted, it can be smart, it can control the game and not allow it to get out of hand, it goes a long way for Bayern to be competitive, get a win, or potentially come out of this game with another draw versus Bayer Leverkusen. So look to those 2 to have their fingerprints all over this game. And then going forward, if they lack the opportunities, Musial and Elise will create those limited opportunities. So smart on the ball, can work in tight spaces, make the magic happen. They've been fantastic across all competitions this season. So look to those 2 to be heavily involved in the final third for this Bayern Munich side. Look at Leverkusen, they're on their 8-game unbeaten run themselves with 9 goals scored in the last 5 games. So both these sides absolutely flying in all competitions. For me, that front line there, Florian Wirtz and Patrick Schick are going to have to be the guys. A few weeks ago when they played Bayern Munich and they drew 0-0, they had a plethora of chances but just couldn't find the back of the net. If one of these players finds the back of the net within the first half an hour, it's a confidence boost. It gets Bayer Leverkusen on the front foot. It gives them belief they can get through this tie here. And I think because they come to this game probably having Bayern Munich's number, it would worry them if they couldn't get a goal early in this game here. If they get that early goal, it gives them confidence. It could be a one-way stream in this tie here. But so important they're clinical in the final third. So important they get involved early and not float in and out of their game. They have to be on it for minute one and be at this Bayern back line. And for me, the game changes are Frimpong and Grimaldo from the wide spaces. They're returning back, it looks like, to the 3-5-2-1. That means Grimaldo, that means Frimpong have the license to go up the pitch, to utilise that width, to be those attacking players, those overload players in the wide spaces. And that's when great things happen for Leverkusen. They look fantastic in transition when these two are at their best. So look to those two to be all over this game here. Leverkusen and Alonso unbeaten in the last 6 games versus Bayern. So they come in this game with history on their side. I think they continue that run here. I've got a Leverkusen 2-1 win away at the Allianz Arena. I think a massive statement's made in this game here, and Leverkusen take the lead into the second leg. Portugal is our next stop as Benfica host Barcelona. Obviously some recent history between these two sides so far this season in the Champions League phase. And I think we're in for more fireworks in this game here. We look at Benfica. They come to this game unbeaten in their last 8 games with 4 clean sheets in their last 5. So they come in probably some of the best form they can to match the quality that Barcelona have. Huge role in this game for Silva and Otamendi. I feel like I said this in the earlier game this season. They have to be tight. They have to be at it because any half space with like Rafinha, Dani Olmo, Pedri, and most importantly, Robert Lewandowski is going to result in a Barcelona goal. So massive game for those two there to be touch tight to Lewandowski, not allow him space for headers, but with a turn and shoot, and not allow those midfielders late runs to the box to be free for shots or goal. So massive role for those two centre-halves to keep it compact and keep that great clean sheet record up in this game here. And then for me in the midfield area, a resourceful player like Koku has a huge role to play. Benfica will likely have not much of the football, but when they do, you're going to have to make the most of it. And Koku can make the most of that midfielder, a smart player on the ball, an experienced player. Yes, Barcelona is a different kettle of fish, but he's going to have to match the energy in that central area of the park, winning the ball back and then driving the ball forward, making the right reads, playing the right balls and passes to break apart this Barcelona side. So he's got a massive role to play to be the leader of this Benfica side in the centre of the park. Looking at Barcelona, no loss in the last 15 games, 15 goals scored in the last 5 games. They have been unstoppable. They've been on a tear. I think it's now around the 80 goal mark in La Liga this season. Unstoppable. And as such, Rafinha, Lamine Yamal and Robert Lewandowski are the key players. That front three, the dynamic, the brilliant front three which Barcelona have. They're unstoppable when they're at their best. When they get a good start to games, it's often night for the opposition. So massive game for these guys here. In particular, Rafinha, who's been the guy this season, creating chances for Robert Lewandowski, getting goals in the Champions League. He's going to be the guy for this side here, captain of the side, difference maker, an X factor, which they desperately need in these big knockout games where they've faltered in the past. Look to Rafinha to be the guy for Barcelona. And then a very underrated job for Casado in the centre of the park. Not talked about much since he first burst onto the scene, but a massive job to protect that back four. Barcelona can be good at in transition. A lot of real bright attacking players, but not many real defensive orientated players in the forward regions or the midfield region. So Castro, a massive role to protect that back four, prevent transition and win the ball back for this Barcelona side to keep them in possession of the football. For me, obviously, Barcelona the side with all the form. Hansi Flick's a winner. They've got the best attackers in world football right now. I do see Barcelona coasting this one. Benfica will try and make it hard for them as long as possible. Once one goal goes in, I think a lot more follow. A 4-1 Barcelona win here away from home. They basically kill off the tie in the first leg for me. That brings us to our final game in France at the Parc des Princes as PSG take on Liverpool. And boy, what a game we've got in this one here. A very underrated top-tier game between two sides at the top of their game. PSG unbeaten in their last 22 matches, scoring 22 goals in their last 5 games. They're on an absolute tear. And obviously we know they're doing this in Ligue 1, but they've done it in the Champions League so far this season. And this young side has not feared this competition. I don't think it quite understands the history that PSG have had and the unfortunate recent history they've had in the Champions League, just never being able to get over the line. So they come to this game with fresh faces and fresh belief, I feel like, in this game here. And as we've seen so far in the competition, Jean Neves and Ferdinand in the mid-centre of the park have been so influential for this PSG side, matching the energy and opposition's midfield intensity. And obviously Liverpool's is the next level. Gravenberch, McAllister, Dominic Szoboszlai, they're workhorses with him and at the football. So Vitinha and Neves have their hands full. But if anyone can match it, I think those two can do. So smart in terms of where they position themselves to win the ball back, so strong into a tackle. Then once they get the ball, to allow PSG to go forward with like Kvaratskhelia, Dembele, Barcola, they set them up so well as well. So that midfield duo in there for PSG, massive role to play in this game here to match or better that Liverpool midfield. And then obviously up top, Ousmane Dembele has been fantastic this season. 6 Champions League goals in 8 matches. He stood up to the occasion a lot of times this year, but can he show us he can do it on the ultimate occasion, which is the round of 16 tie, leading this side against one of the top sides in Europe and Liverpool? If he's all about the season, if he's got that about him, he'll do it in this massive game here versus a massive side with great players like Kanate, Trent Alexander-Arnold, Alisson, Van Dijk at the back. You can do it against Ligue 1 sides, but can you do it against probably one of the best defenders in world football? So look to him to be important for this PSG side, especially in the final third for me. Looking at Liverpool, unbeaten the last 5 games, only conceded 5 goals in their last 5 games. So they're the opposite. Their defensive identity has come back. They're much more solid in that area of the park, and that's a great sign for Liverpool fans because I often say Liverpool looked at their best this season at the start of the season, and then go into this recent period when they're keeping clean sheets and they're looking solid defensively. When they start leaking goals and they're looking a bit vulnerable defensively, that's when Liverpool look much more vulnerable. They look like they're being got at. That's when they've dropped points so far this season. With that being said, they've only lost 3 games across all competitions this year. So they've been the ultimate example of unbeatable at times. And I think that's led down just to one guy only, which is Mohamed Salah. 30 goals, 22 assists in all competitions this season, including 7 goal and assists in 7 Champions League games. He'll have his fingerprints all over this game here. I know PSG have done a fantastic job going forward. They've been not too bad defensively, but Mo Salah is a different kettle of fish. If they can shut him down, they've basically got the tie won because Liverpool struggle in other areas to create outside of Mohamed Salah, but I just don't think they've got enough to stop Mohamed Salah in this game here. He'll dominate that right-hand flank. I think Liverpool go away here. It's a tough place to go play football, but they get over the line just for me. Liverpool 2-1 win at the Parc des Princes and take a lead back to Anfield for me. That being said, ladies and gents, that brings this prediction video for the round of 16 leg 1 games to an end. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. What game are you most excited for? Is it PSG Liverpool? Is it the all-German game? Is it the Madrid derby? Or is it something else? Let me know that in the comment section down below. Let me know your predictions. I love the interaction we have down in the comment section. And who's your key player to come for this round of 16 ties? Let me know that all in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed the video, guys, smash a like on it. Subscribe to the Players Zone channel for more prediction, reaction, podcast content here on the channel. Press that post notification bell so you know we upload. And also join our membership for a small fee to support the channel, receive early access to podcasts, exclusive breakdown videos, and a lot more coming to those members there as those numbers skyrocket. Thank you guys for supporting the video. Thank you for supporting the channel. Have a great day. Enjoy the upcoming Champions League action tonight and tomorrow night. And I'll see you guys for the video or podcast very, very soon. Till next time, guys. See you later.